Welcome, welcome, welcome to all our single, separated and divorced women. It's Fiona May from Women on Transitions. So welcome everybody. It's super excited to be here and to bring you this next episode in our series called You're One Step Away from Changing Your Life. And, you know, we believe that you're just one call away from embracing forgiveness and finding freedom. And, you know, like, often people wonder about, you know, when we talk about forgiveness, if that's even possible for them and if that's something that they're going to be able to do. And we want to encourage you and let you know that, you know, forgiveness is not about forgiving the other person. There's so much confusion around this. So I'm going to share my slides with you. So hope you can see those slides. Let me know if you can. And we're going to talk about them now because, you know, forgiveness really is for us. It's not for the other person. And it's part of our healing journey is to be able to forgive other people for what they've done to us and forgive ourselves for the role that we played, and for us to accept that, you know, we have been doing the very best we could with the tools and the skills that we had. And so we've got to be kind to ourselves through this process. The truth is that nobody really taught us the tools and the skills we need for us to do life any differently than what we've been doing. So there's a real power that comes when you embrace the transformative power of forgiveness. So let's have a look at, you know, how we can actually bring real forgiveness into our life. So I think let's just work out this. Okay, cool. So the power of forgiveness is all about unlocking our personal growth. For us to be able to move forward, obviously we've got to let go of the past. You know, forgiveness allows us to release the weight of our past hurts and to be able to move forward with a lighter heart. It's about changing and choosing how we're going to show up in the world. You know, we can either be, that's old saying, you can be bitter or you can be better. And you've got to have a choice in this, ladies. Do you want to stay bitter or do you want to get better? The truth is that if you stay hurt and frustrated, getting easily triggered, if your ex is still in your head, you're still thinking about your past, then you know, you are stuck, you are suffering, and you are allowing the past to actually control you. What I want to encourage you to be able to do is go through the transitional journey of actually being able to heal. And we're not talking about the superficial things here. I'm talking about healing at a core level where you actually are able to release the past, that it doesn't have any emotional control over you anymore. It's about empowering yourself, ladies. You know, forgiveness isn't about condoning the actions of the other person, but it's about choosing to heal ourselves so we can take back our control of our emotions and our own well-being. You know, your happiness is going to come when you feel like you're growing and moving forward. You are never going to be happy if you feel like you're stuck and if you feel like your future's been taken away from you. And, you know, that's where you slide into victimhood. And when you slide into victimhood, you give away your power to change. You actually think that life is hopeless, that there's no future out there for you. And I know I've been through divorce. I know how hard it is, you know, but the truth is you've got a choice, you know, if you want to stay there or if you want to find your way forward. And I want to encourage you to keep finding your way forward. You know, life is there for us to actually live and for us to create something amazing for ourselves. You know, there's a real burden in unforgiveness. There has a real impact on our own life. We suffer emotionally. And when we suffer emotionally, you know, unforgiveness creates a toxic environment within us, leading to anxiety, depression, resentment, but it can also affect other parts of our life as well. You know, it can really have a big impact on our relationships. You know, holding on to bitterness will damage your relationships and it will create distance and conflict with other people. It will stop you getting into new healthy relationships. But what it will also do is push away people who wanted to love you. You know, so often when we go through a separation and divorce, and I know this is hard, I know how hard it is wanting people to embrace you and believe you and to support you, and to have that guilty feeling that, you know, you want them just about to turn their back on the other person. I know that that's there. It's a natural sort of feeling, but it's not a healthy feeling. You know, when you want people to choose, I can tell you that at the end of the day, you will be the one who misses out, because people will go to where it's easy for them to be. So if you've got couple friends, if you make it hard and you make it conditional that they can be your friend, they will end up not worrying about you. They will go to be friends with your partner. And as sad as that is, it's reality. People don't want to be put in the situation where they need to choose. Neither do your kids. That's a big one for mums to hear, because mums think that they've got this control over their kids, and that if they keep, you know, bad mouthing their dads, and if they keep showing their kids what their dad, you know, is doing wrong, that the kids will side with them. And they will initially, but they will also work it out over time. And they will also have this funny way of behaving that they often want to support the underdog. And if you're strong and you're dominant and you're controlling, then they're going to see you as the top dog, and they're going to see their dad as the underdog. And I've seen this play out hundreds and hundreds of times, not only in my own life, but with so many of my clients. And I want to give you a word of warning here, ladies. If you are the impetus that tries to make your kids choose either you or their dad, or you use them in the middle as a bargaining tool, it will backfire on you. I've seen it time and time again. So I understand how painful this is. I understand that you're hurting. I understand that, you know, you didn't want this situation to occur, and you feel like you've been impacted and you're hardly done by, and that it's very, very painful to go through this. But part of being an adult and part of being a good role model as a mum is to be able to heal yourself, so then you can model healthy behavior for your kids. Because the way that you show up in not only your relationship with yourself, but your relationship in the family is going to impact you over the long term. I know when we first go through our separation and divorce, it feels like a short-term game. It feels like we're just dealing with everything on a day-to-day basis. But I want to let you know, ladies, the way that you behave and the way that you handle this, the stories you tell, and the way that you are able to navigate yourself forward will impact you and your relationship with your kids for a long, long time. I see many mums who are devastated because they become estranged from their children, and they don't understand why. They don't understand why their kids put up walls and move away and don't want to have to deal with it, don't want to be caught in the middle. And it takes work for them to be able to unravel that and to do their own healing work, and for them to be able to start mending those bridges. So I want you to just be aware of the impact. Mums are so critical in all of this. Dads get away with a lot more than mums do. Let me tell you that. And I'm sure you already know that as well. But the role that a mum plays, I always say, when a mum heals, she heals her whole family. And if she doesn't heal, she actually makes her whole family toxic. And I know that sounds really hard to hear, but mums are a pivotal role in being able to navigate through our separation and divorces, especially in midlife. And don't think for a minute that adult children aren't impacted as much as younger children. In my experience, over doing this work for 10 years and working with over 20,000 ladies, I actually see adult children being more impacted than younger children. And that's really, it's interesting. It's something that I found interesting, having 3 adult children of my own. I had to really be careful the way that I navigated through my separation and divorce. And at first I went into victimhood, telling my story story. I wanted people to believe only my story. And I realized very quickly the damage that I was doing. And I had to rein it in, and I had to learn, and I had to grow, and I had to do my own work for me to be in a place that I could actually not be bitter, not be resentful, not be triggered. And so I could actually help my kids to be able to also, navigate through this challenging time. So wherever you are, we do understand. And I just want to give you the courage to be brave. Develop the tools and the skills that you need to become a person who can get through this, not become a victim or allow your separation or divorce to define you. So that's the relationship strain part. The next part is your physical health. Studies have shown that harboring unforgiveness can negatively impact your health and lead to stress and illness. If you don't deal with your stress, it becomes disease. There's some very good books written out there that you can look at. One of them that I really like is Your Body Keeps a Score, and just read the impact of holding resentment and bitterness, how that can actually affect your whole body. Because, at the end of the day, ladies, we want you to heal. We want you to grow, and we want you to become the very best person that you can be, so you don't allow your past to define you. So part of that is the journey of forgiveness and overcoming those obstacles. First, we need to acknowledge the hurt, allow yourself to feel the pain and acknowledge the impact of what's happened, because this is big, it is big. We're not understating that. It was honestly the hardest thing that I've ever been through. My knees hit the ground when I heard those words, and the journey back from that place was something that I have never experienced in my life. So I know how hard this is for you. I want you to be able to get to a place that you understand the other person. You understand why they did what they did, and you understand that you two were in a relationship. And regardless of how thinly you slice that lemon, both of you contributed to your relationship breakdowns. So you need to try and see things from the other person's perspective and understand their motivation. Part of that is that you need to understand the masculine way of dealing with things and the feminine way of dealing with things, because they're totally different. So very often we expect people, and we, have expectations of how they should behave and why they should behave a certain way. And we're judging people all the time by the way that we see the world through our filter. And, just doing that alone is setting ourselves up for failure, because no one is ever going to see the world the way that we see the world. So, trying to open your lens up and seeing how other people could be navigating through it and how they could, be understanding the situation is going to help you to be able to understand it. Choosing to forgive is actually a choice. Forgiveness is always a choice. You don't have to forgive. You can hold on to your bitterness, and no one is ever going to be able to change your mind if you don't want to change your mind. It's your choice if you want to release that pain and if you want to release the burden of the unforgiveness, because don't be fooled for a minute. You're hurting yourself more than anybody else can hurt you by not releasing your forgiveness. And it's counterintuitive of what we actually think is the way that it's going to pan out. We need to learn practical steps to be able to forgive. It's a roadmap to freedom. We need to be able to write a forgiveness letter, and that doesn't come easily, because often when people write letters, they often want to write a letter to their ex, and when I read it, I just go, no, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, because they often just don't understand why the relationship broke down, the part that they played. They still want to hold their ex accountable. They still want to punish them. They still want to point out to them what they did wrong. But sending a letter like that doesn't help anyone or anything. It just actually causes more destruction. And negative feeds off negative. The more that you're putting out negative, the more negative that's going to be generated. Whereas if you can actually do your growth and your healing work, same thing. If you're putting out positive vibes, you're putting out love, compassion, understanding, that's exactly what you're going to get back as well. So, you need to practice gratitude. You need to focus on the positive aspects of your life and cultivate gratitude for the good things that you have. And you need to seek support. This was, like I said, this was really hard for me to go through. And I'd already done over 20 years of personal development. I had spent hundreds of thousands on my own emotional, physical, mental, business, all of those courses and tools and skills and everything that I'd learned still was not enough for me to understand why my family was suffering, why my relationship ended. This is a very special education that you need. Divorce recovery is in a class of its own. So I think it's really important to seek support from a divorce recovery coach, because we've got to learn so many pieces of the puzzle for us to be free of the past, to be able to move on and to be able to create a new life. That doesn't happen just like that. It doesn't happen just waiting for time to heal us either. It actually is something that we really need to be proactive about. We need to grow our mind and learn new tools and skills, but then we need to take that information and apply it and adopt it into our life. And this is where having a coach hold our hand through the process and hold us accountable, it is absolutely invaluable. It is the best thing you can do for yourself. So, it's much more than just having a trusted friend or a family member support you. Having a divorce coach who actually understands the process, who has been through it, who has actually got their own life in order and who has helped other people do it and has demonstrable success, that's what I'd be encouraging you to look for. So we want to have a look at embracing the gift of forgiveness. What comes good out of a divorce? People often, I've often always said to people, there's no situation that bad can't come, that good can't come out of. There's no situation that good can't come out of. That's what I always say. And people sometimes look at you and think, yeah, right, sure. What good can come out of my divorce? Well, I suppose when I went through my divorce, I didn't think that I was ever going to be happy again. I wondered if anyone would ever love me. I wondered how my kids were going to navigate through this. I didn't want it to scar them. I didn't want them to be affected. I wanted them to have a good relationship with their dad, and yet I was hurting so much. I wondered if I even wanted that to happen. So what I learned by doing my healing is that, the more I learned, the more I grew, the more loving and compassionate I got, because I realized I had made big mistakes as well as my ex in our relationship. We had lost love unnecessarily. Not because we didn't love each other, because we still really did love each other, but we had just worn that thin over time because we didn't know really truly how to connect. We didn't know how to come together and navigate through the challenges. We stopped communicating, our walls went up, we drifted apart, and we got to a place of incompatibility. And, incompatibility is such an easy thing to say, but the truth is it's that we didn't work hard enough to keep it together, not because we didn't want to, but because we didn't have the tools and skills to know what we actually needed to do. And the truth is that we're never taught how to communicate effectively. We're never taught how to love. We're never taught how to navigate conflict as a couple. These things aren't taught in the home. They're not taught in school. They're not taught in the workplace. So we're just out there doing the best we can. And this is why, first of all, we need to forgive ourselves. There's a lot of transformative benefits that come when we give ourselves, when we embrace the gift of forgiveness. First we get emotional healing. This forgiveness releases negative emotions. It allows us to experience genuine peace and joy, and for us to learn to be happy again. You know, it also helps us in all of our relationships. Forgiveness can mend broken relationships. It can create stronger and healthier bonds with all of the people in our life. You know, it can also help us embrace and enhance our self-esteem. You know, choosing forgiveness empowers us and it boosts our self-worth. We feel better about ourselves when we're being kind and positive and understanding. I found it really, really hard to be negative about my ex. I used to even forget sometimes that I shouldn't like him, and that, you know, if I held on to my old story, that I had a reason to dislike him and discredit him. But I found it really taxing to be that person, because at the end of the day, when I started to do my work and I started to see that there was two people in this relationship, we both failed. We both allowed our relationship to break down. You know, at the end of the day, it's so easy to say he had an affair, or, you know, she did this or she did that, or he did this or he did that. But none of that is the real truth of why your relationship broke down. It's just a convenient story that we tell ourselves to let ourselves off the hook. That's the truth. As hard as that is to hear, it's the truth. We often just want to be the one who had no role in, you know, in our relationship demise. And we want to blame our ex for being in the situation that we're now in. You know, after people do separate, between separation and the financial settlement, we call that the crazy zone. And that's in that place, people act out, they behave irrationally, they don't do things that, you know, they ordinarily would do. Very often people start disrespecting each other, and then that just becomes a cycle that people get caught up in. And so that period is often really challenging for people to be able to navigate. And, you know, you doing your own healing work is going to be the very best thing you can do to change that situation. I believe that we find freedom when we forgive, and when we forgive, it actually sets ourselves free. We release the past. You know, forgiveness allows us to detach from the past and for it to have no emotional control over us. And when it doesn't have emotional control over us, we don't get triggered. So if you're still getting triggered 1, 3, 5, 10 years after your separation and divorce, if something happens and you go right back there, that's because you're carrying trauma from your separation or divorce. So that means you have not healed at a core level. You might have kept yourself busy. You might have gone to the gym. You might have gone to, you know, sound meditation work or yoga or fitness clubs or retreats or things like that. But they're all superficial. They don't take the place of actually doing your core healing work. You know, we need to take the pen in our hand and we need to create a new future for ourselves. People get stuck in the past because they don't create their new future. So I want you to shape your future, and forgiveness allows you to be able to create a bright, beautiful future for yourself. And this is free from the burdens of the past. You need to be able to package your past up, put it alongside you and leave it there. Don't bring it into your next relationships, and don't allow it to define you as you move forward. You know, the biggest gift that you can give yourself is to forgive yourself and to just acknowledge and say, I did the best I could with the tools I had at that time in my life. I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes, but I didn't know any other way to handle myself than what I did. Who I am now is a woman who embraces the opportunities and the possibilities and the beautiful future that she's got ahead of you. And you know what I believe, ladies, is we're at a perfect time in our life to be able to create something amazing for ourselves. You know, we've got 10, 20, 30, 40 years of living left to do. So why not make these years the best years of our lives? You know, I've had some of the best fun that I've ever had in the last couple of years when we've been having a group of girls and going to Bali and going to, you know, Sydney and our retreats and things like that, where we really share and we really, you know, grow as people. We see each other's souls. And this is something that I really want to encourage you to reach out and do. You know, if you want to be part of our beautiful network, come to one of our 3-day events or join one of our programs, because I can guarantee you it'll be the best investment that you've ever made, and it will change everything for you. I don't want to see you suffer. You know, that's the truth. I don't want to see you wasting your life and hoping, wishing, and praying that things would be different, because the only way forward is for you to integrate forgiveness into your life. You know, if you're ready to embrace forgiveness and unlock your true potential, remember, forgiveness is a journey. We call our business Women on Transition, because you need to be transitioning from who you were to a new embodied woman. Find your mojo, find your spunk, find that power that's been lost over years of neglect, because just about everyone we work with has put everybody else before themselves, and now they get to this place in their life and suddenly their whole life is turned upside down. They wonder, who the hell am I? You know, what have I got to look forward to? What's my future going to be? I've just lost everything that I thought that I was working so hard towards. So what is the future for me? The good news is that it's whatever you want it to be. You know, we've seen ladies go from absolutely broke with no money to owning their own houses within 3, 4, 5 years. You know, it's people who didn't have a job getting a job. It's people who had a $60,000 salary getting an $80,000 or $100,000 salary. These things change lives, but they're not going to happen just hoping, wishing, and praying that your life's going to change. You know, you've got to be an active participant. You've got to step up and you've got to do what it takes to actually create a beautiful new life for yourself. But we believe in you. I know this can happen. I do it on a daily basis. So if you want some support, please reach out. You can book a free call with me or one of our divorce recovery coaches, and we will have a look at your situation. We'll see where you're at. We'll see where you want to go to, and we'll map out the best way for you to get there. I hope you have an awesome week, and I hope that I've been able to add some value to your life. I look forward to seeing you soon at one of our events or hopefully in one of our programs. Love to you. Bye for now.